The last time that we were down here talking, and you were talking with Marilyn, we were talking about your father's dealerships, and you had actually just mentioned to me talking about some of the special services that he provided during the Depression and the war. And do you want to tell us about some of that? Or?
Well, another example of the ownership service, they just knew their customers. And one of his customers called him, and his husband was in the Army and was being shipped overseas, and the daughter was pregnant. They were down in Texas, and they had an old car with old tires, and could Dad get some tires for her? Tires were hard to get during the war. And so Dad scrounged up 4 used tires, had them fixed up the best he could, sent them down there somehow so that she could get home. She used every one of the tires. Eventually, one would blow out, then she'd have to replace it, and she got home. But that was a personal service. The owner being around, customers knew they could come to Dad if they had a special need, and they could work something out.
Nice. You mentioned, too, about his salespeople and how the employees stayed with.
Yeah, the sales force was very loyal to him. He was loyal to them, and they were with him for a long time. They were very small when they started out. He only had 2 or 3 salesmen to start out in those early days, and eventually it did multiply. But of those men, there were 2 men. One of the men had been with him throughout his lifetime, ended up being part of the company officers. Another one was in the body shop. I can still see him. He was there all my lifetime of the business that I knew. He was there. So there was a certain warm friendship amongst them. It was a family.
You mentioned, too, something about that your father invented. I can tell you about the...
During the war, ambulances were very difficult to get, and so were the cars for the funeral dealers. And so Dad thought up this idea and had it patented, the sedambulance. And you take a 7-passenger car, take out the center post. There was a little gimmick. It was kind of a little latch, and it took out the center post. It could be put back in. And then you opened up the 2 doors, and either the casket bearer contraption, whatever it is, or the stretcher could just be wheeled in. And it provided a wonderful service for funeral directors as well as hospitals, especially small town hospitals. And also what it did for Dad, it multiplied his sales and gave him visibility nationally, who then in turn after the war were interested in buying a Cadillac from him. So it was a good sales both ways.
Now, you said this is when he had the Cadillac dealership.
Yes,
so.
He took the Cadillac dealership after he had Packard from 24 to 36. Then he took over the Cadillac dealership. And Dad always thought Cadillacs were the best. When Dad was in First World War over in France, he had to deal with automobiles in Paris, and he said the Cadillacs were the best. So when he took over that Cadillac dealership, he was just very happy to have it, and that same dealership still exists today, only of course it's under different ownership.
Where's that at?
It's out on South Pennsylvania. Yeah.
What was the name of his?
Dad's was McClintock Cadillac, and he moved from in the early 40s. He moved from the original site at Capitol and Washington out to 2400 East Michigan Avenue, and built a showroom out there. And that's where the sedambulances were created. And then when my brother took over the business in '66, he stayed on Michigan Avenue for a little while, but there was a change in the scene of where a lot of the automobile dealers wanted to be. They started moving out to South Pennsylvania, and that's when Bill moved the business out to South Pennsylvania. I can't give you the number, although I might be 5600 South Pennsylvania, I think. So.
Very good.
Okay.
Is that covering what we wanted to get into today?
We might. I think we did mention before about how the absentee ownership, didn't we? And how how the loss of personal service, we mentioned that earlier, didn't we? And we mentioned about the other changes about ownership by women in general managers. I think we covered that. Okay, I think that's...
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Is it still on?
No, it is.
The dealers in town were a wonderful group. They all worked together. There was England Cook, what was it? England, I can't, Ted England, and Ted Peters, Bud Couts, Trevelyan Alls, and they had their building right next to Dad's on South Capitol at first, and then of course moved out to East Michigan Avenue. But they were a wonderful group of men, good businessmen. Of course, there was a lot of competition, but they were friends, good friends. I know Dad thought so much of both. Who was Patty Branstetter? What was her? Patty Edwards. Al Edwards and Bud Couts and my dad were the best of friends. In that friendship, even though there was competition, that friendship was there, and they worked together. Okay.